Hello, I am Tanya, and in this video I'm going to cover the two biggest regrets I have at the age of 52 and the lessons that I've learned through self-reflection on those experiences. If this is a topic that is of interest, please stick around and let's get started. Back at the age of 21, so a whopping 31 years ago, I actually experienced panic attacks. There was a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, which resulted in me actually feeling totally out of control. I felt that I was not able to manage my emotions, and up until that point I had been suppressing all the emotions, so they were just bubbling up to the surface. So I sought medical treatment, and they recommended, rather than me going on to any anxiety medication, for me to try out counselling. I was at university at the time, so I actually had, I think it was between 3 and 6 sessions with a counsellor. And during those sessions, what we did, we started delving into my present history, a little bit into my past history, and they gave me some techniques in order to sort of breathe and be able to control my emotions, sort of give me the ability to do a bit of self-reflection in order for me to not feel overwhelmed and for me to be able to function. Because if you've ever experienced panic attacks, you actually feel that you start hyperventilating. For me personally, that was the case. I felt lightheaded, dizzy, I felt like I was going to pass out, I felt nausea, and I just felt like I was going to die. My heart was pounding so fast that I just felt that something major was going to happen. So they gave me the tools to be able to control those feelings of panic, and a little bit of self-reflection to realize that nothing is permanent. And they also started making references to boundaries, that they felt that I didn't have healthy boundaries, and that there were things that I could potentially do to distance myself from family situations that were probably the root cause of a lot of those feelings of anxiety and panic that I was experiencing at that moment in time. But because I was so close to the detail, I didn't have enough experience and enough tools or exposure with the counsellor to be able to really truly understand what healthy boundaries mean, how to put them in place, and gain some exposure to that. It was only in May this year that I actually read this book by Terri Cole, The Boundary Boss. And in this book, it became very apparent that not only did I not have healthy boundaries, in some aspects I didn't have any boundaries. And my sense of people pleasing, overgiving, going above and beyond was then leading to chronic stress and burnout eventually in my career. And because I didn't really grasp what I needed to do at that time, it meant that my relationships were not healthy up until probably maybe 2 years ago, where through my own self-reflection practice, I realised that some relationships were what the terminology now is toxic, that they were actually impacting my well-being. And because if you followed any of my content, you will be aware that my self-chatter, the mental conversation that I was having with myself, was extremely negative. I had extremely low self-esteem, even though externally I was a very confident, bubbly, self-assured individual. Because I was looking for external validation. I was great at my job, I was a great friend, and people liked being around me, but I didn't like myself. And as a result, because I had very low self-esteem, I had very low self-respect as well. And as a result, I didn't feel that I was worthy of being, of having boundaries, of saying no when I really wanted to say no. Instead, I would say yes reluctantly, and then I would actually feel resentful and angry, and therefore as a result I would actually be so annoyed with myself. Now, in hindsight, having read that book, I have come to realise that having healthy boundaries is the foundation of having healthy and really fulfilling relationships with everyone around you. And this is where I use the kind of terminology awareness, acknowledgement, acceptance, and articulation of how our thoughts are, what our feelings are, and then understanding what our actions are as a result. Within the Boundary Boss book, what Terri Cole makes reference to is recognise, and this is where you recognise, which you become aware of, oh, these are patterns of behaviour, or this is feelings and thoughts that I'm experiencing as a result of this relationship. Then it's about releasing, and this is the letting go part, or what I refer to as the reframing. And then it's about responding, and it's about being kind and compassionate, because you don't want to push everyone away, but at the same time you want to assert yourself and be able to stand in your own authentic truth, and be able to sort of like say the no when it is a real no. Don't say a yes when really what you want to say is no. Take time. You don't have to respond straight away. And there's a number of questions that she helps you ask, and the book is full of exercises, and it requires you to go really deep, because if you just read the book and just sort of like, oh yeah, intellectually that makes sense, you don't put it into practice, as a result you're not going to see the benefits. Now, in addition to that book, there is a workbook as well by Terri Cole, and what that does is it makes the assumption that you've read the book, you've done some of the exercises, but then it's taken the exercises to the next level. Now, for disclosure, I have not done the work in this workbook yet, and the intention being is that I wanted to do the work intentionally from the actual book for 6 months. So I read that book in May, and the intention is that either tail end of December into early January, I'm going to do the workbook, because then I will have some evidence, some proof of, yeah, my relationship have changed. How do I feel about them? What have I sort of learned in the past 6-7 months of me putting practical steps in place to improve my boundaries and to create healthier, better relationships as a result. So then I've got some tangible information that I can actually see the progress. I didn't feel doing the book and then doing the workbook straight away would have given me the same level of insight. And these are the things that you need to practice, you need to keep doing in order for you to learn, because repetition is absolutely key. Now, the second regret that I've actually got is that for 50 years of my life, I did not like myself. I've mentioned low self-esteem, but there was times where I actually resented myself. I actually would sort of even go to the point of I hated myself. And it was because I didn't believe that I was living authentically, because I was doing the people pleasing, because I was doing the overgiving. I always felt that I was the martyr. I was the one putting my life on hold to support and help other people to progress their lives. And as a result, there was a lot of pent up resentment and anger that was being suppressed over time. And every now and again, there would be a mini explosion. And as a result of that mini explosion, there would be time for self-reflection, which for me probably then resulted in me feeling more shame, more guilt, more kind of tormenting and battling in my head. Now, Sigmund Freud, and I've mentioned this before, we've got the kind of two spectrums. We've got the pain and suffering that we experience, and then the pleasure. And what as humans we aim to do is avoid the pain and seek the pleasure. But the reality is most of us are not driven about seeking the pleasure. Some people are, but the vast majority of us, we're trying to avoid the pain. But in my situation, the pain was so, like, I was causing the pain, because it wasn't, people were just doing and saying what they were wanting to say and do, but I was interpreting that, and I was giving it a very kind of like a meaning, such an intense meaning, that then detracted of my self-worth. That if they weren't happy and they were angry, or something wasn't happening in their life, it was all because of me. It was my fault. So then my guilt and shame were just constantly increasing. And the way that I was handling the pain and the suffering is I wasn't sharing that with anyone. I was keeping it inwards. But then I would do the binge eating. Through my kind of university years, I was doing binge drinking. And to the point that I was sort of like abusing my own body, abusing my own mind, not really being present, not being aware of what I was thinking and feeling and experiencing, and I wasn't taking care of myself. And as human beings, we're spiritual beings choosing to have this human experience. And as part of this human experience, our one responsibility is to take care of this body, of the mind, of the emotions, in order for our spirit and soul to be able to live a fulfilling, content experience. And for me personally, I truly believe that we're having this human experience for us to learn, grow, and expand, whether it's our knowledge and our sense of happiness and joy, whether it is about impacting other people, about contributing, about giving back. But you can only do that from a place of you being whole and complete. And by no means am I saying that we are broken and we need fixing, but over the years we've accumulated beliefs and thoughts and behaviours that may have served us and kept us safe and secure at a point in our life, but at this moment in time may no longer serve us. And this is about us recognising what those are by becoming aware, and then chipping away at them, challenging them, or reframing them and creating more empowering and encouraging ones. So that two big kind of regrets was about me not having the healthy boundaries, and therefore building up that sense of resentment, and then burning out and being stressed out, and not taking care of my physical body, the mental aspects and the emotional aspects. And in the past 2 years, where I have been doing the deeper delve into why do I not love myself, or should I say, why 2 years ago I didn't love myself, why for the previous 50 years I didn't love myself, and having done all that deep work, now I genuinely am living an authentic life because I genuinely like myself. I love this body, and yes, it may be carrying a few extra pounds or stone, but that is fine, because now that I am actually respecting my body, having a better relationship with my emotions, navigating the emotions like a surfer gracefully, and listening, being present, listening to my body wisdom, now I've got a better, healthier relationship with food. So I'm not binge eating, I'm not binge drinking, I'm not doing the things that were abusing and punishing and keeping me in that kind of perpetual pain and suffering state. And now I genuinely, I gravitate from not being to the extreme low of pain, but being somewhere maybe in the kind of maybe a quarter of the way along the way, and then heading towards the pleasure. And it navigates back and forth, because some days there might be super joyous, there might be certain points of a day that is super joyous, but it's okay for things to not be like super happy, super joyful all the time, and I'm totally fine with that. But what I am really super proud of is, because of the inner work, is that I'm no longer in that space of me torturing and berating myself and keeping myself stuck and making myself feel less than, because it was me doing all of that. So those are my two big regrets: not having the healthy boundaries and not loving myself soon enough. So hopefully, if you're watching this content, if this topic was something that resonated with you, I hope you're on the other side of it. I hope that you've got healthy boundaries, that you're no longer in a high functioning codependent situation, that you self-respect yourself, and that you actually have kindness and compassion towards yourself, and that you demonstrate that on a day-to-day basis. If you want to share, please leave something in the comment below telling me what your biggest regret was, how you navigated out of it, where are you today? And if any of the book that I mentioned, I'm going to do another video where I go into a lot more detail about the kind of healthy boundaries, so hopefully that would be of benefit for you. And in terms of the self-love, I have just completed a 6-day challenge, which is all about boosting your self-esteem, about ensuring that you can create self-praise in your day-to-day life and that you can become your biggest cheerleader. But it does require you to do some self-reflection, looking and delving deep, in order for you to actually take the necessary action to propel you from that pain and suffering where I was, to then turning it to become that you are content, you are joyful and happy to be how you are, and you're not in pain and suffering, and you're turning up authentically, and then you're creating that trust within yourself. So I'll leave links to the 6-day challenge that you can go and watch that content if it's of value to you. If you have enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe, and follow for more kind of self-development, life experience, hints and tips to aid you on your journey. So until then, go out and seize the day. Have the most amazing day, no matter what you're doing today. And remember, there's always choices in life, so choose wisely. Bye until the next one.